Welcome to episode 36 of the Self-Care 101 podcast with your host, Pooja K. McClymont. Thank you so much for listening today. Before we get into this episode, I want to share with you something that I've been working on. For the past year, I've been wanting to offer you a program that is affordable, effective, and available to you all the time. Because quite frankly, you never know when you'll need support. I've created the Confidence Club, which launched last week. It's a club for go-getters who want to up-level their work and personal lives. The focus of the program is to build self-esteem and self-belief so that you can build the self-confidence to pursue your goals. I've extended the launch price of only £20 a month for my podcast listeners. There's a private Facebook group where we will inspire, support and motivate each other, a weekly live Q&A with me for bespoke guidance. I'll be sharing tools and resources to help you move towards your goals, and we'll have special guests to further support your self-development journey. Bonuses include a monthly group coaching session for up to 10 people, where you can really get to the core of any challenges you're facing, as well as monthly online retreats to help with de-stressing and refocusing. If this sounds right up your street, then send me a DM over on Instagram at Frankly Coaching. Now, on to today's show. In this episode, I get to interview my friend Kate Burton, who is sharing her journey from the corporate world to making chocolates, yum, and now living through her purpose as a Pilates and meditation teacher. Kate and I met in a local Facebook group for women almost 2 years ago now. I was looking to attend Stylist Live with someone and she offered to go with me. We hit it off from our first coffee together. I love her calm, warming energy. We discovered that we had common goals and started to support each other however we could. Kate joined the Frankly Unstoppable retreat in Spain last year, both as an attendee and as our super amazing Pilates teacher. I wanted to share her incredible soul with the rest of the group and to help her build self-confidence within her teaching practice. Fast forward a year, and Kate now hosts 4 Pilates classes a week. She's a meditation teacher and has a very clear vision of her purpose. Kate's personality is strong, determined, but understated. She has the ability to offer support and guidance without judgment and just pure kindness. The interview includes how Kate moved from corporate life to creating a chocolate business and discovering her purpose through Pilates. We talk about having a side hustle and how she chose to go back to office life. We touch upon the retreat in Spain and how it helped her self-development journey and how she is shaping her life now. I'm excited to say that if you're a member of the Confidence Club, Kate will be sharing meditation videos for you to try, which you will have access to forever. Hi, Kate.
Hi, Pooja.
It's so weird doing a Zoom call with you that's a podcast. Like doing coaching.
We're just chatting.
Yeah, doing
I feel almost a little bit nervous, like I'm being interviewed, but yeah, it's all good.
No, I know, it feels like that. And it's weird because I get nervous as well doing it, because I think it's because I'm aware that it's recording and I'm going to use it to put it out somewhere. It's just very... Yeah, funny, isn't it? But I really appreciate you doing this. I know we've been trying to do this for almost a year now, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we speak like every week, but we haven't done this. Yeah. So I've just introduced you as my friend because I think we've got into the friend zone now for sure. And how we met, but I really wanted to share your journey actually with the listeners, because I know that you're inspiring to me and you're inspiring to a lot of other people, and we were joking about your calm energy the other day, because you're rebranding as Calm Energy, aren't you?
I know, I couldn't believe that was coincidental. Absolutely.
Yeah. Because I've written that post about you being a founding member ages ago. Well, not ages ago, but like a week before, I saw that you started changing the name, and I was like, "Oh, look at that! Totally serendipitous."
Meant to be. It's a sign.
So, yeah, let's get into it. So, you've obviously, I know that you've worked in the corporate world, and then after the corporate world, you or during the corporate world, you discovered chocolates and Pilates, which is a very interesting mix. So why don't you tell us a little bit about corporate life and where the chocolate inspiration came from, and then obviously Pilates?
Yeah, sure. So I guess my background for many years has been in advertising. And I think I just reached a point in my life, I think I was in my 30s, where I was just finding it really draining, stressful quite a lot of the time, unsatisfying really. And maybe part of that was the lack of creativity. I think with most people, they kind of probably do something at university that doesn't necessarily then lead to the type of work aligning with that. And that was my case. And I guess I just needed something. I guess I was always looking for hobbies and things to do that helped me get that kind of creativity that I yearned. And one of the things I really enjoyed is cooking, and I'm a massive chocoholic. So the chocolate thing actually came about partly through my job at the time, as they offered a scheme where they give you a certain amount of budget every year to do a course non-work related, as long as you kind of told everyone what you'd done, what you'd learned, or brought in what you'd made. So I did a chocolate making course, really loved it. Did one the following year, got into kind of the cake side as well. And then for a few years at least, it was really a hobby. It required quite a lot of investment to make it a business. So I wasn't quite ready for that. So I wasn't sure whether I wanted to make it a business. But eventually I was getting really good feedback from what I was producing. I was doing friends' wedding favours, things like that. And I just thought, I did reach a stage in my life. I was like, I need something else. I need a potential alternative option, I guess, work-wise. So I with the support of my partner at the time, who kind of, at times I do lack confidence in myself to put myself out there, and he really kind of gave me that like nudge to encouragement to kind of do it. Started out doing markets and selling my products, got into events, online selling, and it kind of gradually grew, and I really enjoyed the kind of creative side of it. It was fun to make things. It was fun to see people enjoying what I was making or doing at the events. And it was kind of became my like little baby business. The only downside was that it was quite seasonal. So that's, I guess, where the Pilates came in eventually. I was kind of still juggling corporate life with the chocolates on the side. And I thought, what could I do that potentially will work around the chocolate business and potentially allow me to maybe take a step away from the corporate side? And I've been doing Pilates as a student for many years, really loved it. It actually helped me get over some like back pain, shoulder pain that I sort of sometimes suffer from. And I don't really know where it came from in terms of like why I decided I want to be an instructor, but I thought, I guess maybe it'd be really nice to work with people. So the chocolate business is a little bit like isolating, I guess, working on your own. But this would give me that opportunity to be around people, to help people. So that's how I got into the Pilates.
Turning a passion, like your passion for going to classes, into a business. I love that. And I can understand that chocolates would be quite lonely if it's just you making and then you just sort of send out and really all you're getting is feedback, but there's no like real collaboration in that process. And I guess with Pilates, it's that you're seeing somebody grow as well, which is, it's satisfying as a teacher to see somebody grow through the work that you've learned and you're sharing. And also the feedback that you get is obviously seeing them improve, right? You get that satisfaction. I think that's awesome. So it's interesting that you said that you were in advertising, but it wasn't very creative. So that I find that a bit of a contradiction. So why wasn't your role in advertising creative?
Well, I guess at times it could be, but I guess I got to that level where I became a bit more of a kind of people manager. Also, the business or agency I was working for many years actually kind of shifted, and the role I was doing kind of changed, and they gave me another opportunity to kind of maybe still have my toe in the water there, but also kind of maybe fill a gap that they needed on the kind of operational side, resource management. And then eventually I ended up migrating across into that role full time. And I guess there were a couple of reasons for that. There was one that, I quite fancied a change. The parts of that role I enjoyed were working with internal people. Didn't have the stress of clients. You still had the stress of internal people sometimes, but just easier to work with. When you know them well and they know you well, and you're kind of looking out for each other. But the other reason was actually that the role on client side, it's very you need to be available like all week and all the time, basically. So this other role allowed me more flexible working. So it was kind of a bit of a longer term vision of, I could do this role part time while also doing other things that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So that role became less creative through doing that, but ultimately I still wasn't really getting the I guess it's hands-on creativity that I was lacking.
Yeah, well, it almost, I guess that role almost gave you the opportunity to be creative, and then obviously, where you are today. So what was it like working and setting up the side hustle, essentially? Like, what did life look like? Was it really busy? Was it very tiring? Long, did you end up having really long days, late nights, that kind of thing? Your energy levels, what was going on there?
Yeah, you've basically taken the words out of my mouth.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. It was tough. It really hard work. I guess the first few years of doing Pilates has only been in the last maybe couple of years, but so for probably 4 years before that, I was doing the juggling of the corporate side and the chocolate business, and it was really tough because I was only at first I was doing a full-time corporate job and then doing chocolate at the weekend, selling at markets, and then gradually I was able to do more flexible working in the corporate space and then increase my chocolate time. But I was doing everything, setting up a brand in the chocolate business, producing the products, doing the marketing, sales, building a website, photographing my products for the website. It was a lot of work. It was a really steep learning curve, like enjoyable most of the time, but it did mean that it kind of gave me the balance I needed in terms of creativity and not the daily 9 to 5 and kind of commuting and all that kind of stuff. But in terms of work-life balance, I'm not sure it was ideal. It was, it was because I referred to the seasonality on the chocolate side, like seasonally very busy from Halloween into Christmas, obviously. Then you've got Valentine's and Easter. Those are the key seasonal periods. So outside of those, I could be working 4 or 5 days a week, really, if I wanted to, in the corporate world, and be able to kind of keep the chocolate thing going on the side. But as soon as we hit peak time, it was crazy. Even working 3 days a week in an office. At Christmas, I was literally, from the end of November up to Christmas, I'd be working every evening, every weekend.
I mean, I remember the first year we met and we were trying to put a date in the diary for December, and you were like, there's nothing in December. I have no...
I basically cancelled my social life. From the end of November, I have no Christmas until Christmas Eve, Christmas Day.
Okay, Okay, so not great for work-life balance. And it's I mean, for anyone setting up a business, because you are everything in that business, you are the marketing manager, the social media, the website developer, every single role, that you do spend more time doing the marketing of your business than you are actually doing the producing. And then when you get to that point where you're producing as well, you still need to do the marketing.
Yeah, and it's crazy when you're making products.
Yeah.
Instead of selling, products that are already supplied, there's just so much where it takes over. And I was really one-man band most of the time. I could draw in the odd kind of friend who I pay to kind of help me out peak seasons, but they couldn't really make the products. They would just help with packaging or little other bits and pieces. Sometimes help me out at seasonal markets. But yeah, it was intense.
But worth it.
Yes, they're definitely huge rewards for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I saw some of your chocolates, and hopefully, if you can send me some pictures, I'll add them into the video so people can see what we're talking about when we talk about Kate's chocolates. They are awesome. Not tasted one yet, by the way, Kate. Just FYI.
I'm going to send you some right after this call.
Yes, I support the cause. Anyway, so interestingly, we met on a Facebook group, and I was like Billy No Mates in this local women's Facebook group when I was living in Tottenham, and I was looking for somebody to go to Stylist Live with, and I kind of wanted to go with somebody who was in a similar boat of having a startup business and open to suggestion with what we could gain from Stylist Live. And I love that you said you were up for it, and after we met for our sort of is she a freak coffee. I realised, no, actually, both of us completely normal. Let's do this. And then we went to Stylist Lab. And I think Micah came as well, didn't he? For our intro coffee.
Highlight for me. Sorry, Pooja.
And he was really on one as well, wasn't he? Because I think I picked him up from nursery or something. And so so we sort of hit it off there. We're 2 years now, right? I think, is it?
Yeah, easily.
Yeah.
I think
something like that. And so when we met, you were very much chocolate focused, and Pilates was starting, and you weren't working at the time. You'd sort of taken that decision to not work, focus on chocolates, and obviously develop Pilates. But then last year you decided to work in an office. We'll just call it working in an office. You decided to work in an office, and I remember at the time we spoke, you mentioned that doing the chocolates is very lonely, and the Pilates business, you still wanted to do some training and stuff. And what was happening then? What made you make that decision to go back to working?
Yeah, so at that time, I think I had a period basically where I did chocolates pretty much 100% of the time for about 4 or 5 months. And I just actually found it really lonely, really isolating. Yes, I did do the odd event where I'd go to offices and do kind of pop-ups for, an hour or two. But generally, I was working from home almost the whole time. It was during winter months as well, which maybe didn't help. Less opportunities to kind of get outside and get some vitamin D. But I had to kind of really be honest with myself. A few other things were happening in my life at the time, but I think there was the loneliness, and obviously it was coming up to Easter. By the time I was thinking, I might want to go back and do an office job. And so the part of it was for financial reasons, knowing that post-Easter, the chocolate business income would kind of reduce considerably. So I would need, more income to just get by. But also I realised I missed the office environment.
Okay.
So I missed having that kind of social element, people around you, being able to chat, learn off other people. Also that structure. I'm not bad at structuring my days if I'm working for myself, but you can get, I don't know, there is something about knowing that you have to do this for this amount of time, and then you can leave it behind and kind of live your own personal life. So that I realized I actually missed, which was a really interesting revelation for me. So yeah, I decided, I mean, actually an opportunity came my way before I'd started to look, so it was maybe fate, but yeah, I just finished that job, but I was contracting there for just over a year.
I did the same thing. Yeah, I did the same thing. So I've been nurturing my coaching business for about 4 years, literally since Micah was born, because I was made redundant from my job. So I had no job to go back to. And I was like, you know what, this is clearly a sign, and, you know, start doing it. So I've been building it up, but, as a side hustle, essentially, which wasn't the original focus. I was just like, well, I'm on mat leave, I've got redundancy money, let me focus on building this coaching business. And kind of like you, something fell into my lap that was easy money to then give me the space to not worry about my bills, which was marketing for a restaurant. And I knew the owners, so we were very easy to work with. I didn't have to sell myself. It was just, can you launch our restaurant? I was like, yeah, sure. And I initially took it on as a 6-month project, which ended up being 4 years later. And like, I had so many opportunities where I was going to leave and just take the plunge into 100% effort into coaching only. And with the coaching, it was a lot about marketing, and that took a lot of time. And then doing the marketing for somebody else's business, again, took a lot of time. And, you know, I was getting paid by them, so I had to do it well. And I got to the point where I was like, I need to leave. I need to put this time into my business. So many opportunities. But I think I completely agree with you. That loneliness, being around other people, it was actually something to look forward to. And I would physically go into their office by choice every Tuesday, or the restaurant every Tuesday. And I used to feel quite invigorated, and I'd get all my work done whilst I was there. And some weeks I even went in another day in the week, and it was just a nice break in my day. I mean, obviously I have a 4-year-old, so for me, like, work is pleasure. You know, we work for fun. You know, going into an office for a lot of parents is the fun part of their day.
I think it gives you energy, actually, kind of working in an office environment sometimes, if you're working with the right people. It's also worth mentioning that I was doing Pilates at that time, but I hadn't realised or appreciated how long it might take to kind of build that up.
Right.
So while obviously the intention was to have that as well as the chocolates, I was very new in that space at the time, and I didn't go and work in a studio environment. I chose to kind of build my own kind of customer base, teaching locally, and then eventually I ended up working in corporate space as well. But yeah, at that time it's still very new, and I thought I'd, you know, instantly get about, you know, 15 people in my class, you know, within a month or two. It did not happen. So yeah, I think that was an unfortunate realization at the time that, you know, I needed something else.
Yeah. It's funny that you said that about getting the 10-15 clients in your class. I feel exactly the same way. I was actually having a call with an ex coaching client who's now become a friend, and it was Jill, actually, you know, Jill from the retreat. Yeah. And we were talking, and she's really lovely. Like, she's always very interested about where, you know, how my business is developing. And she's like, oh, it sounds really good, all the things that you're doing, and blah, blah. I was like, yes. I said, but you know what I would like, Jill? This is my ideal. If I put a post out on social media, I expect you all to buy the product. And I said, if you come to my website, I want you to make that phone call, and I want you to buy the product. And we were laughing about it. It's like, but Pooja, this takes time. And I said, you know what? The irony is, in marketing, when I've got my marketing hat on and somebody's paying me to tell them what to do in marketing, I always say to the client, for every campaign, new activity you do, give it 3 to 6 months to get traction. You have to allow 3 to 6 months for it to gain traction. And that's everything. So from SEO on your website to being recognized on social media, whatever it is you do, give it 3 to 6 months of that consistent activity, and then you'll start seeing results. And Jill was like, can you hear yourself? I said, yes, I can hear myself. And I hadn't been applying that same theory, which is true, to myself. I was like, no, but I put that, so that post was brilliant. That should have gained me more signups to my email. Why didn't it, And we couldn't stop laughing. It was like, you want the results immediately. You're willing to do the work. Like you and I are obviously, we've got good work ethic, so we're willing to do the work. But there does come a point when you're building a business where you keep doing it, and it's like, where are the results? Where are they? And we don't realize that every one result you get is a result, because your benchmark is 0,
Yeah, absolutely.
Every client.
And I think the chocolate business at least has helped me understand that a little bit more, in terms of, yes, have expectations, but don't set them too high initially. Be patient.
Yes.
It takes time. It really does. Yeah. And much longer than you anticipate, unfortunately.
Yes, I think that's definitely the big one. Definitely. Marketing business 101. Like, don't think it's going to happen as when you think it's going to happen. So I wanted to move into, actually, because you were kind of a client, because you attended, frankly, Unstoppable Retreat in Spain last year, which, was amazing.
So amazing.
And you and I obviously talked, and I was like, come do Pilates, like just do it, use it, try it, see how it goes, see what you think. And for me, it was really easy. Like, I basically didn't have to tell you anything. I was like, keep it gentle. It's not to, to be Madonna at this point in their Pilates journey. Just very much, it could be an introduction to a lot of people, but the whole point of it was just to try something, because yoga's not for everybody. So it's okay if, they've got options, because we had Elisa doing yoga as well. So I would love it if you could share what you gained from the trip, both obviously for yourself personally and also from, I guess, Pilates perspective.
Yeah, I mean, what a trip that was. And I was lucky to be both a teacher and a participant in that. And I think as a teacher, it was really just interesting to be able to practice in a different environment. So really interesting actually aspect of it was being able to spend that kind of week, almost a week anyway, with the people I was teaching. So really getting to know them quite quickly and quite well in a short space of time, and then work with them every day on the Pilates and just see them grow, see myself grow.
Yeah.
And also it was an amazing experience to be able to kind of work alongside, other wellness experts, obviously putting you in that bucket, and Alyssa. It was really interesting to kind of learn from you both. You guys having more experience and just your outlooks and your approaches and your real kind of understanding of people, what they might need as individuals, as well as a group. So I learned from that. And it was just, really interesting, just adapting every day. I didn't go into it with a scripted class for every day. I obviously put something together on a daily basis ready for the class, but it was more based on what I'd learnt from that day or the previous day, or from having conversations with individuals.
Which is beautiful, because then you're able to tailor the class for what people needed. So
exactly.
And I think that honestly is a mark of a superb teacher, is that you're not just, because it's like with coaching, people expect you to tell them what to do, but I can't tell you what to do. That would be mentoring. So it's guiding you to the answers yourself, and it's being aware of what somebody needs, like you say. And you as an instructor, a teacher, if you can see what the room needs, you can then give them what you need. And I think that's better than you just saying, right, today we're going to focus on core, today we're going to focus on arms, today we're going to focus on this. It's more of a holistic approach to give people what they need.
Yeah, because it was complementing, the yoga that happened in the morning as well, and the meditation, as well as the intensity of the coaching maybe during the day and how people might be feeling, not just in body but in mind. So yeah, that was really interesting and challenging as well for me, which was great. And then as a participant in all the activities as well, and the coaching, it was actually a bit of a wake-up call for me. I realised that I probably needed a bit of time out and to take care of myself a bit better. I was going through a breakup that year, and I kind of needed to reevaluate my life and work out what I wanted to do next as me, but also I guess in a career frame of mind as well. So yeah, it was, as I said, a bit of an awakening. It was quite an emotional time. I was not necessarily expecting it to be, but it was really healthy for me, I think, to, I guess, spend time with other people who are probably going through other challenges in their own lives, and kind of sharing. And then also being given some tools, like really valuable tools to help me work on myself and my future goals during and after, mostly after actually. It was like really useful, because I think during I was kind of in the moment, and like I said, I found it quite an emotional experience, suddenly opening up about all the stuff that was happening, and so it was afterwards when I'd managed to kind of release that and feel a bit more myself, that I was able to kind of sit down and really like take a look at myself and work out where I want to go next. But also, just to say, it was like the most stunning location. The amazing people really made it, most of whom, I think all of whom we've kept in touch with.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun as well.
Yeah, it was. Thank you. It was definitely a lot of fun. It was the longest retreat that I had hosted, and prior to that, the longest trips I'd ever hosted were press trips, and those are journalists, and we're not dealing with emotions, but sometimes there would be emotions on a press trip. But basically, it was the first time doing a almost a week-long retreat, and for me as well, there was learning process as I was going along too. And I think the biggest one for me was, actually, I don't like the rigid sort of schedule, because you do have to read the room and see what people need day upon day. And so I, much to the dismay of some participants, some days we swapped things around and, didn't do as much of X and we did more of Y. So yeah, that was a really good thing for me, because it helps me now when I create anything, to allow for feeling out the group, essentially feeling the client and seeing what they need that particular day. So that was good for me. You mentioned it was really emotional. Have you done anything like that before? Had you done something like that before? I've done retreats, but mostly a couple of yoga retreats, a bit more focused on I guess the yoga side of it, and I guess spending time by myself and in small groups. But I think on the coaching side, I'd also done bits of coaching, but really more to address career style stuff. So this was kind of unique, well, I guess in its timing as well, because of the relationship stuff that I was dealing with and hadn't really addressed. So yeah, it was just an interesting time and way to use coaching, actually, because I was looking at my personal life as well as my future goals in as a career, what I want to do. Sort of everything together.
Yeah.
So I remember on the retreat that something that came up for you was purpose, finding purpose, and sort of understanding what that was and where to channel it, how to sort of like put it all together. And obviously, you and I have been speaking, and I know that that's been something you've been working on. So what's the plan now? Have you incorporated purpose? Do you know what it is or have an idea? And, you know, because it's not necessarily definitive, and its purpose is going to be dynamic based on where you are, what you're doing, and different for different things in your life. But yeah, if you could just, what's going on?
Yeah, so I've been doing a lot of work on this, especially recently, given lockdown has given me a bit more headspace and time. And I think I have found or defined my purpose. And that for me now is within the wellness space, from a career perspective and from a personal perspective.
How does that actually make you feel now that you've defined a purpose? How does that physically make you feel?
God, really good, because I think you probably know from previous conversations, I've found it hard to focus on one thing, and because I've been doing all these different things, you know, corporate, chocolates, Pilates, just spinning plates all the time, and it's been really hard to know what to put my energy into and work out what is the right thing for me. And so, it's a relief actually to realize my purpose. And I think what I had to do to get there as well was to be brutally honest with myself about, like, I know the corporate space long term isn't what I want to do, but like the chocolates, you know, it has been my baby, my business for a while, and that's really hard to let go of. But I have managed to be really honest with myself about, you know, the pros and cons of that business, and weigh that up against like wellness. And although that's a fairly new industry for me, I just realized how much it's giving me in a positive way. And the opportunity to kind of work with and help people, as well as work with, you know, like-minded other wellness experts as well. And, you know, there's potentially the opportunity to travel with it. There's loads of opportunity. There's loads of diversity. But really importantly, it like gives me, it's good for my well-being, and it gives me that kind of people aspect.
And the thing is, it doesn't mean that because you've now like sort of honed in on a focus, which is the wellness industry, it doesn't mean that chocolates gets to disappear. Because I mean, you and I have talked about incorporating chocolate making within a retreat, like maybe doing a cold retreat, like going to Iceland or something. We've talked about that, haven't we? And we were going to plan one for this year.
I mean, the great thing is, you know, I'll always have that skill. I think that won't go away now, to like produce chocolate, but maybe I'll look at it in a different way to incorporate it slightly with wellness or well-being or mindfulness anyway. So yeah, maybe I won't let go of it 100%, and I'm not letting go of it right now. Because I may need it for another year or so while I work on my kind of short, medium, long-term goals. But I think for me now, I've got a lot more clarity and focus and direction on what I need to achieve in the short term, medium term, and long term. And it's really exciting, actually.
Yeah, when you can see it all like that, it's just like, oh, that's why that didn't work, because I hadn't done this bit. And you know, and then it's that, I mean, I talk about it a lot in anything that I post, but it's very much about, you know, what brings you joy, what fills you up, what makes you, you know, get out of bed in the morning. And for me, I had always earmarked March to July, or April to July this year, as solely focusing on my coaching business. And I'd even gotten to the point where I was like, I'm not going to work in marketing for that restaurant anymore, even if I just take a hiatus for a couple of months and they let me have that break or whatever. And I was just going to focus on my coaching business. And I'd even said, if it doesn't work, if in these 3 months I do not get any result with all the work that I put in, I'm going to lock up shop this wasn't my journey. And ironically, obviously, you know, COVID happened and we were forced into the situation. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to be down about this. I'm going to take this opportunity and I'm going to use it in the way that I had said. And I did. And it wasn't even a month, and I had gotten more sales in that month than I had all year, you know, as, you know, you're having coaching as a side hustle. And that happened, and I spoke to Dwayne about it, my husband, and he was like, sounds like you're doing the right thing. And then obviously I've just been building, investing in support and, you know, coaching myself from various different specialists, experts. And it's just been the most wonderful thing to have done. And, you know, so I've been obviously pro lockdown because for me, it allowed me to focus on my business as well as have time with those two, but you know, more so focus, totally selfish, selfish, more so focus on my business. Know in my heart of hearts, this is 100 million% what I am supposed to do. And it's just gorgeous that you're in that space now yourself, especially because, you know, where was Spain? Spain was September last year, wasn't it? And now we're almost a year on, and you've had that time, you've done all this amazing work on yourself, and you've got to a point where it's like Pilates all the way.
Yeah, it's great. And I agree with you on the COVID situation. I mean, again, maybe believing in fate, you know, it was dealt to me as an opportunity to kind of have this time and use it wisely in terms of investing in myself, working out what my purpose is, and then setting myself goals and being productive with the time I've got. There's not to say I might have to still, you know, work in the corporate space for a while, and I'm okay with that. I'm happy with that. But, you know, I have, you know, a focus and things to work on, and, you know, there's lots of learning opportunities I'm going to take up to develop myself in the wellness space as well. Still need to build up that client base, and that never ends, you know. But, you know, it's an exciting time, and I'm probably at the start of a long but exciting journey that's probably going to give me a lot personally.
I think what you say about like going, if you do need to go back to the corporate world, it's okay, but I think it is okay once you know where you're going. I think where a lot of us can get stuck is that, but if I have a job and I'm trying to work on my, you know, my business idea, then that means that I'm taking a step back, but actually it's a step forward in order for you to do that. And the doors that can open are huge. You've got contacts, right? It's a workplace.
Exactly. And I'm trying to look at it as, you know, there could always be opportunities with these jobs. So through my last job, they were originally based in a WeWork office, and through that I managed to establish a couple of classes at WeWork offices, that one and another one. And, you know, I think now things, you know, are going to change. The way we work is going to change, and my next corporate job might be still kind of working remotely. But, you know, I have this wellness string to my bow, and maybe that is quite an attractive thing to businesses right now, where wellness is really important, you know, being able to work remotely but also take time out and, you know, take time out of your kind of working day is also really important. And so maybe there's an opportunity there to kind of offer multiple skills or bring multiple things to the table.
It's exactly that. It's thinking laterally. So I think we can wrap it up there, Kate, but thank you so much, obviously, for doing this. But before you go, and also send me chocolates. Actually, no, you can't even send me chocolates. That's the funny thing, because I'm losing weight and it's working.
Oh,
no, you can't actually send me. I'll tell you what, I look forward to your chocolates. I'll give you a goal. Maybe my goal is September. So you can prepare some for September.
Okay, celebrate with chocolate.
We'll celebrate with some chocolates. Yeah, okay. Undo all the work.
Yeah, definitely stick to your goals.
A bunch of chocolates. But I wanted to, before you go, I wanted to ask you, I know you're still on your self-development journey. We all are, you're obviously in a different place than you were last year and the year before. What piece of advice or what have you learned that's been your best nugget? What can you say about the self-development journey for other people who are either on it or, a few steps behind where you are, for instance? What kind of, I don't know, words of wisdom?
Yeah. I think one of the key things for me is surrounding yourself with good people. So that maybe kind of people in your personal life who are kind of always there for you, to pick you up when you're down or give you a hug and encourage you. And then people who can really help you evolve, especially, in a career standpoint. People who maybe have been through that experience or going through that experience can offer you advice or mentor you, or just somebody to bounce like ideas and things off. It's really important, I think, because there's always highs and lows, personal and working life, and I think is probably my top tip. And then just making sure you check in with yourself every so often and make sure you haven't strayed away from your goals or what's important. And you're honest with yourself as well, because I think with the chocolate business for me, I was really just ignoring the kind of the finance side of it in terms of, was it actually generating the returns that I needed to kind of survive, I guess, which ultimately is an important thing. I think, so checking in on what the reality is and whether you're still getting what you need from what you're doing, and just kind of reevaluating everything so you remain on course and being prepared to adapt and shift when you need to.
Yeah, that's definitely a big one, isn't it? Especially now. So, all right, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kate. I shall see you obviously on the other side. I appreciate you doing this.
See you tomorrow. All right, take care. Thank you. Great speaking. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Self-Care 101 podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, I would love it if you would subscribe, rate and review so that other people like you can find the show. For more tips and tricks, you can follow me on the socials at Frankly Coaching, or visit my website to find out more about my coaching programs and how to work with me at franklycoaching.com. Talk to you soon.